Cool. Ready?
I don't know.
Let's do it. Welcome back to another episode of the CrossFit Kaiserslautern FITCAST. Today we're going to be talking about mobility.
Yes.
We're actually going to talk about what mobility is, why mobility is important, and a bunch of other things that relate to those first two questions. So, Kristen, tell me, why is mobility important?
Okay, so, Max, mobility is important because it's what helps us work on our range of motion, our full range of motion, which is
Full stop. What is full range of motion?
Moving as far as the body is supposed to safely move.
Ooh, I would say the body allows us to move.
Yes.
Because that changes from when you were born and do your first perfect squat to having a desk job for 40 years. It looks a lot different.
Yes.
Right?
So using the squat, full range of motion for a squat would be getting your hip crease below your knee, so dropping below parallel. If you don't have that, then that's your range of motion, but it's not full range of motion.
Your current full range of motion, but it should ideally go towards the hip crease below knee.
Yes.
Let's actually just talk about why for the squat. What is the benefit of going hip crease below kneecap from a muscular standpoint, like the posterior chain, the muscle chain on the backside of your body?
Yes. So if you don't squat all the way down below parallel,
like sitting in a chair.
Yes. You're saying that's not below parallel.
That's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
No.
I'm like, what? It puts tension, so everything's connected.
Yep.
The muscles, the posterior chain, right, includes from your Achilles tendon, like the bottom of your foot, all the way up to the back.
Yep.
And when you squat, your muscles move, everything scrunches and has tension on it, right? I'm trying to figure out a good way to explain this.
Let me put it in easier words.
Yes.
If you don't squat below parallel, like aka sitting on a chair, your muscles
tighten,
right? And they, how do you say that?
They train themselves in this spot only, right?
They don't have their original length anymore. Yes?
That's the word I was looking for, the length of the muscles.
Yes. Your bones are still as long as your bones are.
Yes.
Yeah? When you're a grown adult. So your muscles pull on your bones, on your joints, differently than they would when they were long enough.
Yes. So mobilizing, mobility and, we'll get into the definition of those in a second, but mobility and flexibility both work on lengthening the muscles. So think about it as a rubber band. When you bend a rubber band, right? That's what your muscles are doing. They can lengthen, you can pull it further, and that's kind of how our muscles work. So over time, you want them to be lengthened so that you can move well. If they're not, they shorten, they get super tight. It makes moving difficult, no matter what kind of moving you're doing.
And can create chronic pain and stuff like that. Cool. We got a little sidetracked here, but back to why mobility is important. I think that as a summary, a short summary, body functionality, no pain ideally, and then for our purposes in CrossFit, in functional movements, range of motion, less risk of injury for working out, when working out, all of the above.
Yes.
Right? Cool. Let's differentiate mobility versus flexibility.
Yes.
Because that's also very important, I think.
Yes. Talking about how we can improve mobility, it's helpful to understand the difference in what we're talking about. So mobility is the active range of motion A really good example, if you're standing up tall and without using your hands or any assistance from anything, you're going to lift your one leg, knee bent, as high as you can. Where it stops is the end of your range of motion. As high as you can pull it without any assistance.
End of your mobility.
End of your mobility. Flexibility would be doing the same thing, except for you're using your hands to grab your knee and pull it in past...
Into your chest, basically. You try to pull it into your chest.
Yeah, trying to pull it as far as you can. So it's your potential for range of motion. So flexibility is using assistance to get you into the position you want to be. And
because that's how far you can go.
Yes. And mobility is what you can do with no assistance, no help, just the muscle, that one muscle working by itself to get where it can go.
Yeah. Which is what we need when doing functional movements. Let's go back to the squat. Mobility is the body moving without our external help.
Without us pushing ourselves into certain positions.
Into the squat. That's how far you can go.
Yes.
That's mobility.
Yes.
And you using an external weight or
doing a squat hold holding the post.
Yes.
That would be working on your flexibility. Correct. Mobility, doing it without holding on to anything.
Perfect. Good. How do we work on mobility? Because I think everybody got that mobility is important. We have a certain protocol in our classes. When do we work on mobility? How do we work on mobility? And then we can later go more into the flexibility slash stretching.
So the mobility is the more active stretching that we're doing. So things like active Samson stretch, really the entire warm-up, because we're moving through different ranges of motion as we're doing these movements, moving the joints, moving through our active range of motion is the mobility part. So doing all of those active stretches before the workout that we do in our classes is what we're doing to work on our mobility. The squat holds, if you're not forcing yourself down by holding a post or something, those are working on mobility. The barbell warm-up that we do where we're moving through those ranges of motion, that's mobility work.
And in general, we're trying to restore full range of motion, mostly, and restoring because most of us are sitting all day. So when we get to the gym, we are not able to show our actual full range of motion because we're stiff. We sat for 8 hours. We sat in the car on the way to the gym. So we want to restore our range of motion.
Yes.
That's what the mobility in the general warm-up is for, right? Yes. Cool. Then we do the specific warm-ups and we do the workouts and the fist bumps and the sweat and blood and tears. And then what's the difference to stretching, to flexibility?
So stretching is working on that flexibility where I don't want to use the word force, but where we're forcing ourselves into positions that we wouldn't be able to, I want to say, naturally get into.
Yeah.
So think about if we were doing the hamstring stretch on the ground, laying on our backs, we put a band around our foot and then we pull our foot as far towards our head as we can, like toes towards the head with a straight leg. That's flexibility where we're working, like we're using an outside force to help force ourselves into a further range of motion than we would normally have, which stretches the muscle back out, elongates it.
Yeah. It increases mobility.
Yes.
Yeah. Flexibility, working on flexibility, stretching increases your mobility.
It will, yes.
Yes. Cool. Should we stretch right after a workout? Should we stretch before the workout? When is the good time to stretch?
So we recently read something that said stretching directly after a workout. We mean like within 10 minutes of finishing your workout,
you're still hot,
sweating, you're still warm, can sometimes cause more damage than it does good because you can overstretch your muscles when they're really warm. I think I heard the same thing about hot yoga once, because it can you're so loose and so warm that you go way past your natural range of motion, which can do damage. You can get into a stretch way deeper than what your body is intended to do or wants to do, and that can cause issues. So if that's the only time you have to stretch directly after a workout, then by all means get your stretching in. It's better than not stretching. Deep. Yes. Just pay attention to how far deep or how long you're holding the stretches for. Doing mobility before the workout is absolutely a better option.
Yes.
And then doing stretches maybe a little hour, 30 minutes or so when your body's cooled down, you've had time to bring your heart rate down. Stretching is better at that point for the long term.
Cool. Muscles are recovered. Muscles are back to a normal state, so to say.
That being said, don't sit down directly after the workout and let things just tighten up and then stretch, because then you're doing yourself, like, stay moving around so that your body recovers slowly, and then you'll be ready to stretch.
That goes for any time you finish a workout.
Yes.
Not only when you're about to stretch. But don't just sit down right after a workout if you can.
Yes.
You have to leave and go in the car.
That will increase soreness.
Yeah, true. Okay. There's another thing we can do to improve mobility, but also mobility, which is external pressure to a muscle. To our tissues, which we like to do with a foam roller. Yes, obviously you can go to a Thai massage, but not everybody does that on a regular basis. But we can foam roll and have kind of the same effect on the muscles.
Yes. So putting pressure on it, especially if you have like extra tight areas, holding pressure on it can help your muscles relax and loosen up.
It hurts. Don't get us wrong.
Yes.
It will hurt, but it helps.
It does help for the immediate tightness and stiffness, releasing all the fascia.
Very good. And sometimes you actually have to release tightness before you can actually stretch. Because the muscle is so tight that it won't stretch. Cool. So foam rolling, mobility, blood, sweat and tears, cool down, active cool down, and then stretching. That would be the ideal to increase mobility, to restore full range of motion, like what it used to be when we were born. Cool.
When we were little tiny rubber bands. So stretchy and bouncy.
Cool. One last question I got is, how should a stretch feel? Like, what is a good amount of pain, if you will, and what should it not feel like?
I would say stretching should never be painful. It should be uncomfortable, but not painful. I tell everyone at our gym, stay out of the pain cave. Like, don't go into the pain cave. We want to stay right on the outside of it, where you can definitely feel some tension. You can feel some maybe tightness. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's bearable. If it becomes unbearable, sharp shooting pains, tweaking, twinging, it makes you go, don't do it. Or back off a little bit.
If you go, what?
Nah. Or even, maybe stay away from that one as deep. You can always adjust stretches or mobility to each individual's needs, because everybody's different. So stay out of the pain cave. Don't make the noises. It should be uncomfortable but bearable.
Cool. Good. Anything to add for mobility?
I think that sums everything up.
Yeah.
Knowing the difference between mobility and flexibility is super important important.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, mobility first, stretching and mobility first, and then give yourself some time after a workout, then stretch once your body's regulated itself.
Perfect. I think it's a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed the
episode.
Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. And we'll see you guys next time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.